Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians. It's indeed a pleasure and an honor for me to be here today as the chair of the Schools and Education Committee for Club 24. I'll be honest, I got rolled into that assignment a few years ago, and the former committee chairman suddenly left the stage and said, "Hey, I can do that one." And I said, "Yeah, begrudgingly. I have come to love that opportunity. I love the opportunity to rub shoulders with these students that we mentor and tutor. We love the programs that we do for Franklin Elementary in particular, Bryant Middle School as well, and many of the schools in the Salt Lake and other school districts around benefit from the volunteerism and the support of Rotarians in this club. We appreciate those of you who have that great opportunity to touch the lives of the students in the various responsibilities that we have. When I accepted the responsibility to be the chair of this committee, it was Paul Young actually that asked me to do it, and he was the president of the club at the time. And he said, I didn't have any idea how much was going on with schools and education. And I don't know that many of the club members have the full understanding of all that we do in the Schools and Education Committee. Briefly, let me just tell you, we have 16 different subcommittees as part of our committee. And they range in everything from obviously tutoring to scholarships to the dictionary project, where some of you have participated with us in getting dictionaries to third grade students. We also have a career fair every year at Franklin Elementary. We promote, we assign, we identify and invite someone to speak at the 6th grade promotion, which is coming up on June 2nd. We teach junior achievement. We do Tracy Aviary, thanks to Tim Brown for his support there. We have scouting at Franklin, thanks to Rick Barnes. We have a sub-representative program, thanks to Jim Schwing. We've in the past taken the students to the symphony, and we have our Zoo Day, which is coming up on the 29th of this month, and Brent Lang has that. That's just some of what we do. There's a lot more, but it's a terrific opportunity for us to touch the lives of these students, and I would invite any of you to bless your life by taking 30 minutes out of your week to go and tutor at Franklin. We would love to. We're expanding our tutoring program next year. We'd love to have more students, more tutors. And so that you can get a sense for how great of an impact you have as a tutor, we are blessed today to hear from 2 of the students at Franklin Elementary. So first we'll hear from Elizabeth Santana, who I sat next to. What an articulate, beautiful young lady. After Elizabeth speaks, we'll hear from Melissa Garcia-May, also a terrific student, a sixth grade student at Franklin Elementary. Following Melissa, we will be blessed to hear from Randy Miller. Randy Miller is the new principal this year, his first full year at Franklin Elementary. I've come to know and appreciate Randy, who's been a lifelong educator, 23 years. He's taught in the Salt Lake School District. He's been a principal at 3 different schools there, and most recently and currently at Franklin. He has 4 children. His son goes to the East, and Kevin goes to the East. Likes to golf and hang out with his family, and he's a terrific liaison for us, between us and the students at Franklin Elementary. When Randy finishes, we will have the opportunity to hear from the superintendent of the Salt Lake City School District, McKell Withers. So I'm going to introduce everybody now so that I can sit down and enjoy the program with the rest of you. But Dr. Withers, we've heard from him in the past, and it's been a real treat for us. He grew up in Salt Lake City. He attended schools from kindergarten up through high school in, I believe, the Grand School District. Here in Salt Lake School District, and then he was an educator, an administrator. He was the principal at one high school in the Grand School District, and has been the superintendent of the Salt Lake City School District. A very unique and diverse school district. 80 different languages are spoken in schools in the Salt Lake School District, believe it or not. There are 24,000 students, and the economic range of the families that feed that school district are from the most wealthy to those with the greatest struggling economic conditions. And so he has a unique and wonderful challenge of educating these many wonderful students. And so we'll have the opportunity to hear from Dr. Withers after we hear tonight. So at this point, I would invite Elizabeth to come up and speak to the club. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Elizabeth. I'm 12 years old. And I'm Mrs. David at Franklin Elementary. I was raised by both my parents. My parents were both born and raised in McKell, where they have my two sisters. Then they came here to America to have me and my younger brother. Throughout my whole life, they've taught me the values of hardships, like to see my father in another situation, which has made me the girl I am today. I'm the kind of person who likes to have fun, enjoy the outdoors, and socialize with friends. I like to play soccer, it's my favorite sport. When I was about 6 or 7 years old, I would visit the Rio Tinto Stadium around Salt Lake, and that's the Rio Salt Lake soccer team, which is one of my main my dad's favorite sports team. And in school, my favorite subject is social studies. It's my favorite subject because I like to learn about history. History just happens to be something that interests me. The most interesting part about it is how people use things around them to survive. And because now we have technology and medicine, everything that we could count on. And my goals in life are to graduate college, have a career, and to make my parents proud. Graduating college and having a career are absolutely one of my goals in life, because it will show my parents how good enough they raised their daughter, which would also make them proud, and that's one of my main goals. Spending time with my family is what I would love to do most. I just love treasuring the moments I have with them, because I don't know how long I'll have them with me. And for example, we like to have barbecues on the weekends and enjoy moments with each other and talk about all the good memories we have. We also have lots of during our barbecues we have delicious food, and I just love especially the hanging out with my family. It's the most precious time. And well, before I go, I would like to thank the Rotary. The Rotary Club has been very helpful. Like, my tutor has helped me with homework and has given me good advice in life. And, like, he's very helpful. It's a good thing. I wish I had been good to experience that with tutors. And they actually try their very best to help us out with everything that we've asked them to do. I would like them to have such a fun experience. It's been a fun experience for me. And I would also like to thank my teacher. My teacher is an amazing teacher. She's taught me lots of things, including math, reading, all the subjects you're supposed to learn in school. Very helpful. And she's made this year of 6th grade Very wonderful. I love Census. Okay, so that's everything. Hi, my name is Melissa. I like playing sports. Outdoors and like playing my family is from Mexico, and they had a difficult time learning the language, but they reached their goal and they learned it and understand it. I have two brothers, named Eric. We both like playing soccer, and we're really good at it. My mom is from Turkey in Mexico, and my favorite things to do are to play with my soccer team, hang out with my friends, and help my mom around the house. In my free time, I like to go around and help my neighbors with their yard work. I also like to help my aunt and cousins with whatever they need help with, like homework, chores, and I want to thank Lucas, who is my sister's son. He's really nice and he has helped me a lot, and I really like him and he's really nice. I'd like to thank the Rotary Club for giving their time to come and help students with homework and reading. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, Elizabeth and Melissa. My name is Randy Miller. I'm the principal at Franklin Elementary. Get to work with these great kids every day. A little work on the technology here. Somebody came along. We had it all set up for me speaking first and make Dr. Withers' information up. What I have to share with you is I'd like to, as I'm talking, what you'll see on the screen hopefully, is just an introduction and to Franklin Elementary and our students. They're just a series of pictures and slides that we'll play through. Talking to the projector that sat on the entire time you're reading. Why the slides won't play. They came up while we were having our committee meeting. McKell and I sat in with the committee meeting, and somebody came up here and started playing with the computer. Got his presentation up, well, we'll see what happens. Maybe McKell can get going. What we did have was a series of slides that just introduced you to our school. Because what the two girls that you just heard from talked about is the opportunity, the things that the Rotarians provide to them and through tutoring. Steve mentioned subcommittees, 16 subcommittees within the education and schools committee. And each of those subcommittees provide some sort of benefit to us at Franklin Elementary. I'd like to share some of those experiences and things with you. As the first year at Franklin, it was pretty daunting. We have a partners breakfast at our opening of our Administrators Institute in August. And I met Mike Deputy and Steve on that day, and was somewhat overwhelmed by the list that was provided to me on that day, letting me know all of the things that the Rotarians did at our school. We have some amazing people that help out with that, and one of our people here today, Elizabeth mentioned, is Sonia Labula, who's a 6th grade teacher. She helps organize all the tutoring and a lot of the contact for the academic things for our students, and works. Takes that on, takes it off of my plate. So I'd like to offer her a round of applause. So I read the list, and then I'm like, well, I haven't heard anything about that. I go talk to Sonia and her and Steve have already worked it out, or Steve will come in, or sometimes Jay, and they will ask me, well, what about this? And I'll find out, and they leave, and I go find out, and they've already worked it out with Sonia as they met that afternoon. So that's a very great resource for me to just make sure that everybody knows about that, but that it gets done that quickly. Some of the other things that go on from the Rotary at our school that you may or may not know about, there's an Acts of Kindness committee within your organization. They provide several times per year, they provide and help meet needs of our community members, the families in our community. It's a $250 grant, maximum amount per family, but some of the things they provide, basic needs. They provide things like license plate renewals, very important. Can be very costly for some families. Tires, again, a very important thing to have on your car is solid tires. Furniture has been provided to some of our family, beds. Just a lot of real basic needs, and we appreciate that support. Other special projects that the Rotary takes on, we have Green Tree Yoga as an organization in our community that works in schools and teaching yoga to students, helping them to learn to relax and just take a moment to breathe and those things. There's a small fee for that, and Rotary helps us by providing sponsorship for that. Many of the Rotarians come in and teach junior achievement lessons, and that's through the education and schools community. And so I see tutors coming in the middle of the day, and hi, how are you doing? Oh, I'm teaching junior achievement today. I'm not here tutoring until this afternoon. So we have many of your membership spending a lot of time in our school. One of the members of your club, I think, wanted a drawing or sponsored lecture demonstration by Riley Woodbury. And they asked him, what school would you like this lecture demonstration to go to? And he indicated that he'd like that to go to Franklin Elementary. And the director, education director of that organization called me. She said, well, I was looking back on our records. We haven't been in Franklin for 15 years to do residencies. So that opportunity to turn into like a 2-hour assembly is creating a 2-year partnership. Riley Woodbury will go bring in artists and residents and do dance with a large portion of our students. I wish we had the time to hear from all of the students who are sitting here today. The 2 students that spoke did a very wonderful job of telling their stories, and I wish the pictures would come up, because that tells the story of our school just in the faces of Franklin. We have over 500 kids, all with a story just like Melissa and Elizabeth. One of the things we would like to do, one of the goals in working with Steve and the committee, is to expand the tutoring program for next year. And to do that, we need your help. We need half an hour a week. It can be before school. Our school starts at 7:55 in the morning, so I think our morning tutors come in about 7:30. Or after school, we get out of school at 2:05, and the tutors come in right at that time, and they're there for about 30 minutes. As I got to learn about the tutoring program, about the things that are provided, what came to my realization is the thing that is really provided are those relationships. And Elizabeth mentioned that, giving advice from the tutor, building a relationship with a member of the community that is not someone who lives right inside their community surrounding Franklin, but Salt Lake as a whole. And having a sort of relationship, and we've talked about ways of building the relationship and expanding that beyond that 1 year of 6th grade. So possibly starting earlier at our school in 5th grade and carrying it on in some sort of meaningful relationship as the students go into middle school and then into high school. I interviewed some of the kids about 6 weeks ago. I came and met with the education committee, and that was the main message I got from those kids. Was it was nice to have that help with homework. It was nice to get a little bit of support in reading and math, but they were already, just from working with you all this year, getting that sense of relationship and a meaningful relationship with a caring adult who's looking out for them. So I would encourage you all to, if you have the time, come and visit us. The kids are wonderful. It's, like Steve said, just being on the chairing the committee has been one of the most meaningful things he's done. And I would say that's probably only second to coming to our school and spending time with us. I'm here basically on a recruiting trip today, and so we would love to have 40 or 50 people. We have other teachers who would help. I know when Sonia hears that, she's like, but I can barely get another 25 we have. We have other teachers who would love to help and help bridge that, take charge of the tutors and help schedule that. So I thank you on behalf of my community, the parents, the kids, the staff. All of us receive some benefit from this club and from the members. Appreciate that greatly. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Randy. We owe you some slides. I don't know exactly where those went. Thank you. It's such a privilege to be with you. I was with you exactly a year ago today, and I told my deputy stories at that point in time because he's a great role model and friend, and get a chance to interact with him a few times every month as we cross paths at the gym. But as I look across the audience and see the influence that you have in the community, that's the follow-up today. So whether any of you remember or not, a year ago you asked me to come back and talk a little bit more about what we talked about a year ago. We talked about the kinds of gaps that young people face and share with you a little bit of the research and a little bit of the information that you can use to make a difference in the schools and in the community. So today we're going to talk a little bit about priority and commitment gaps that we face in Utah and how you address those with data and meaningful partnerships. So this will look familiar. This is just a quick demographic of Salt Lake City compared to the state of Utah. And then I'll do a breakdown quickly of the city compared to our school district, and then our school district compared to what we call the river district, which are hiding parts of the community where you're helping make a difference, and it's incredible the change that can be made with a little bit of time, effort, and collaborative relationships. So the state of Utah, this is 2010 census, a little over 2.7 million people in the city, about 186,000. You'll see the racial breakdown of Caucasian in the state and in the city. You'll notice as you look at the differences there that Salt Lake City is obviously far more diverse than the state. The below poverty across the state is about 10.8, in the city it's a little over 17.5%. Now the quiz, as you come down below, bachelor's plus 25. So I understand, I don't know if it was bachelor or bachelorette that started again last night. Is this talking about the number of eligible bachelors over the age of 25 or not? What do you think? It's about college attainment. So there are 29.4% of the adult population over the age of 25 in the state of Utah have a bachelor's degree or higher. In the city, it's 39.9%. What a great asset to have so many highly educated individuals in the city. Now keep those demographics in mind, and now we'll take a quick look at the school district that I serve as a leader of, and then this river district where we use a synergistic model called community learning centers to try and break down some of the barriers of poverty and educational attainment and so forth. So you'll see, for the school district, a little bit even more diversity, right? You heard mentioned a little bit earlier, 80 languages. Well, if you count dialects at home, there's over 100 languages spoken. And the whole world is gathered here. Some people are surprised with that, yet there's incredible diversity. Those of you that serve with Franklin see a lot of that. And I think many of you are aware that Salt Lake City is one of the refugee resettlement areas across the country. There's 17 of those, and so occasionally they'll get an influx of 400 or 500 individuals that come from a refugee camp into the city. And they have unique challenges and stories, but they're also incredible assets to the community. The research is also really clear that first-generation immigrants have this unique contributing factor to the community and the economy in very, very positive ways. So it wasn't too many years ago that we had Bosnian and Croatian kids in the same school where their parents came from countries where they're trying to harm each other and they're playing together on the playground. Every once in a while you get a little epiphany. We didn't know that there's a caste system in Somalia until you have both Somali Bantus in the same school, and I realized that one of them thinks the other should be the servant of their family. And what a great country that we live in. Say, guess what? You guys are all equal. This is an awesome opportunity. So you'll see that demographic difference with the school district. Then in these high opportunity schools, you'll see the ethnic breakdown, and ELL is English language learners. So across the whole district, it's 37%. English is not the first language of the family. And in the river district, it's 71%. English is not the first language. And so many people get scared and think that's overwhelming. I think it's amazing. We have this incredible combination in Salt Lake City where the whole world truly is gathered here and interacts here. And if we figure out how to have that diversity be leveraged and capitalized in some positive ways, amazing things can happen. So the gaps, I gave this brief background a year ago, that the gaps that young people face, I mean, the one you hear the most about related to schools are achievement gaps. They're also ability gaps. Some kids learn faster, jump higher, some score better in English or math. And the goal is to close the achievement gaps because every young person with average ability and high expectations, enough time and support, should be able to become proficient in English, math, science, social studies, and be prepared for a very successful adult life. Sometimes, and this is what we talked a little bit about last year, this is the third one there, but the second one there, experience and support. So the effort and time that Rotary puts into the community to help provide additional experiences and support closes those gaps. Because many young people in parts of our city don't have opportunities to read with anybody, or have someone check on their homework, or to have a book over the course of the summer, or take a field trip somewhere. You help fill in those gaps in lots of different ways, and it overlaps with the family. And last year we talked about the opportunities and expectation gaps. That you have to have high expectations for all kids. And sometimes I started teaching in alternative high school, grew up here in the city, went to Whittier Elementary, Lincoln Junior High, and South High School, both Lincoln the south of Santa Claus, but it was a great experience. And recognize that the opportunities might be different. And sometimes young people, you can view it as a miracle that they're actually at school, but there's nothing more loving than expecting them to do good work and to have high expectations for them to be successful. And that sometimes we fail to do that. That we recognize that overwhelming odds and challenges that a young person might face, and we cut them a break. Well, yeah, you can both cut a break and have high expectations and great conditions for learning. Then today we're going to talk just a little bit about the priorities and commitment gap. So again, like I mentioned last year, we talked about closing that opportunity gap through education, skill development, and mentoring. You do all three of those as a club. And this year, as we talk about this priority and commitment gap, this is the data on effective schools, research connected with Salt Lake City schools. And let me just touch on these real briefly. And as last year, if you want copies of these slides, just email me and be happy to send them to you. So what is it that contributes to student success? How do we have high expectations for all kids? How do you make it different? So that first one, you have to have a long-term plan and commitment with adequate resources. You don't hear much in the media that there are actually states in the United States that outperform the whole world. You hear the aggregated data when you include all states. We're somewhere in the middle. But guess what? Even in those states that outperform the whole world, there are districts inside of those states that outperform the state. And there are schools inside those districts that outperform the district. There are classrooms inside that school that outperform the school. There are great teachers, great educators through that whole system. But we often, in our well-intentioned, trying to get people's attention to step up and help schools become more successful, misunderstand some of the data or misuse it on purpose for political reasons. And yet, all the states that outperform the rest of the world actually have a long-term plan that's been in place for 10 years or longer that's been adequately resourced. It's not rocket science. Same thing for you in the business. You have a long-range plan. You actually follow and be resourced. Second one, world-class standards. That's code word for Common Core, because Common Core seems to be a bad word. Before there was a Common Core, which are standards. What we hope young people can do in English, language arts, and math to be world-class prepared are standards. They're not an indoctrination system. It's essentially the people inside. And so world-class standards are essentially that. How do we have high expectations for all kids to be literate in English, language arts, and math, and to also have some advantages in technology and science as well? So those are world-class standards. The third one, strategic investments. Makes sense to you if you're all time in the business world. We know that full-day kindergarten makes a big difference. We know pre-K makes a big difference. Yet there has been no increase in those investments. When the state finally experimented with optional full-day kindergarten, they put $7.5 million in it a little over 8 years ago. All the growth in the state has been incoming kindergarten kids and flat funded for the last 7 years. Yet it is the richest data showing the closing of the achievement gap for young people that weren't prepared for school. It's awesome what can be done with young people, with thoughtful adults trying to help them learn pre-literacy skills. You know the research about early childhood and cognitive development. The earlier investments just pay off huge. So those strategic investments are targeted professional development, pre-K, STEM and STEAM. What's the difference between STEM and STEAM? STEAM is that richer understanding Skip can tell you about in terms of integrating the arts. The science, technology, engineering, and math is STEM. A is for arts, and if you don't integrate the arts, you don't enhance the sciences. Districts across this whole country narrow the curriculum trying to get higher test scores. Test scores go down because they don't broaden the understanding and integrate the arts and sciences so that cognitive development creates relevance and connections with kids. That's going down. Obviously, you have to have effective teaching leaders and support staff. How do you recruit, retain, mentor, coach, and evaluate? If you're always throwing darts at the system, it's hard to recruit. And so how do you get these great leaders and great teachers that have a positive influence? And then you must include all stakeholders in the process. That's where your influence at the school. Randy needs more adults to pass through lives to kids. And so anytime you can spend, even if it's not a half hour every week, connections with young people will make a huge difference. And so what does that all mean is that the system that enhances those elements has world-class standards with appropriate assessments, local control, adequate resources, and gives some time to implement those, are successful. How many of you would like the potential of 140 different changes in the law that affect your industry every year? That's how many bills were in the most recent general session of the legislature to affect public education. Of those 140, and yeah, I'm probably biased, there were maybe 6 that had some positive potential. There were many that were fixing problems, either imagined or real, from external parties. So those are some of the challenges that we face. So you guys are amazing. A quote on the International Rotary page, going back to the history of Rotary, says Rotarians have not only been present for major events in history, we've been part of it. We're part of one right now across the world to wipe out polio for the other countries in the world. That connects. Mike has talked to me a couple of times about the 4-way test. This is what I would hope you would talk with legislators about. If their bill isn't the truth, isn't fair, doesn't build goodwill and better friendships, isn't beneficial to all concerned, maybe I'd not introduce that thing. That would be a wonderful filtering mechanism for the proposed legislation that we deal with here throughout the city. And then the last thing is just that thank you for your work with the young people in Salt Lake City. Even though you don't immediately see the rewards of that, those of you that are involved in tutoring, you get that immediate feedback as you spend time with the young person. But years down the road, what is it that made a difference? Think in your own lives. Who are the adults that have you think differently about what you might be able to do? And how does that impact the choices that you make? Most teachers come back, 85% of them, because they were positively influenced by teachers. 15% come back because they're still mad about it and they're trying to fix this system, right? That's a pretty good balance, isn't it? We have a balance of people who want to get in and be connected in some disruptive yet positive ways with those that have positive experiences and make a difference. So I know we're out of time because Steele showed me that you've installed a electric cattle product here that I don't think exactly 125 it will be hurt. But I just want again to thank you and let you know that our priorities as a community for sharing accurate and purposeful data will make a difference. That people misuse lots of data. We have more data than people can get a handle on, and often we claim that if we only had rich data, we would make different decisions. But how do we look at people that really want to sift through the data that's available and get the answer they already have and just apply the decision they already made? If we just step back and we really want to learn, we have great opportunities to learn from rich data and our commitment to meaningful and effective partnerships. Thank you. My hats off to you. How long has this talk stuck with Franklin Elementary? At least 20 years. What a difference you've made in the lives of kids. We're finally measuring some of that. John, I know will be telling you in the future about some kids you've invested in and trying to open doors for college. That's what makes this country great. Providing opportunities and do-overs when things don't get. No, we're out of time for questions. I'll stick around and be happy to interact with anybody. Thank you. This has been a great program today. I'd like to thank our speakers, Elizabeth, Melissa, Randy, and McKell, for those shepherds today. One more time. Look, we're donating to Franklin Elementary is the day Lewis got eaten by Jordan Farnell. I have Randy sign this, and I'll ask Steve to sign it as well. A reminder that we will be meeting here next week. And the last reminder for the students and the tutors and the educators and those involved in these programs today, please come up to the stage right after and we'll get a picture. And with that, we are adjourned.
They make like butter.